Most of my young adult life was spent in self-induced solitude. After a series of failed relationships and bad dates, I chose to be a bachelor who was married to his writing. Granted, I did have a social life and spent many weekends down at the pool hall playing darts or shooting pool with my childhood friend Scott. His high school sweetheart had died in a car accident when we were in 11th grade, and he had vowed never to date again. This was a well-kept tradition until that one day, Friday, March 15th, 1994. Figuring it was Scott, I started to set my outfit aside and grab my Marlboros. Only it wasn't him. It was Cindy. "Hello, do you know who this is?" she asked. "Natalie?" I asked in return, since both of them sounded the same on the phone. "Try again," she said almost playfully. "Cindy?" I asked while clearing my throat. She acknowledged the right guess, and we soon started talking. The time had flown quickly, and before I knew it, we had been on the phone for over 4 hours when the climax reached its peak. It started with a simple phrase. "I have a problem," she said after a moment of silence. I asked her what was wrong, hoping it was something I could help with. She hesitated a minute before saying, "I like someone." At those 3 words, my first impulse was hang up the phone and cross this off as an opportunity that was missed. "Uh-huh," I said, lighting up another cigarette in the process. "He's tall, with wavy brown hair. Word on the street is he's also a known romantic at times. He smokes and drives a Thunder Chicken." "Excuse me?" I asked her. "I'm sorry, I mean Thunderbird," she answered calmly. There was about 5 minutes of dead silence before the descriptions matched. Subtle clues have always been my weakness. "Do you mean me?" I asked her in surprise. "Yes," she gave a drawn-out answer. "Do you want to go to a movie?" I asked, without letting another moment go by. Cindy agreed at the notion, and we made plans to meet in front of Don Carter's around 9 o'clock. After hanging up the phone, I quickly laid out my clothes and called Scott. "You've got to help me a second. I have a date, and I don't know what to do," I explained excitedly. "Just be yourself and relax. I'll be at the pool hall later on so you can come by for a rematch. Either after your date or if it goes sour early on. Not trying to jinx you or nothing," he said, laughing out loud. After the last-minute advice, I jumped in the shower and got ready for the big night. I chose one of my favorite outfits, black slacks, high patent leather loafers, a white-collared shirt with my double-breasted black vest. I drove to Don Carter's and parked at the front doors. My stomach was churning with nervousness, so I pulled out a Marlboro and lit it up. 20 minutes later, a car pulled alongside. It was the same man I saw at the pool hall with Cindy. She was sitting in the passenger side and waved at me for a moment. I returned the gesture and got out to open the door for her. It was in the following second I realized this was going to be an interesting night. I gave her a hug and held the door for her when I heard a peculiar sentence. "Don't worry about that. I'm an independent woman. I can do that myself." She climbed in and shut the door while I stood there in shocked silence. I decided to take Scott's advice, and since I was a fan of Quentin Tarantino, we opted to see Pulp Fiction. However, we missed the night show and had to get tickets for the late movie. This gave us almost 2 hours for ourselves. "Would you like to grab some dinner?" I asked as my confidence was starting to show up. "That's fine," Cindy said, smiling. We went to Subway and took advantage of the extra time by talking over dinner. Even then, things were steadily becoming interesting. If anyone was ever polar opposites, it was Cindy and I. Which takes us to a new chapter as life goes on. It started while doing some cleaning when I came across an old key taped to the drawer in our room. I tested it everywhere and soon realized that this was the missing key that opens the secret doors built into my desk. Moving things aside, I inserted it and heard the lock click over. After clearing the dust, I reached inside to discover a handful of story ideas and manuscripts. Buried behind it all was an aged envelope that was folded over many times. In faded lettering was a simple sentence: "Letters from Cindy." Even now, we have gone through the many trials and challenges of life. We've become godparents, attended more weddings, 3 funerals, made a car airborne over 7 feet, used the turnpike as a speedway, and raced to the Florida Keys in record time. Got stuck in a shower together for an hour, laughed, cried, and loved. Each morning, Cindy and I greet each other with a hug and kiss while saying that we love one another. Our nights end the same way as we fall asleep in each other's arms. People often complained over the fact that we're always together, when in reality, with both of us wrapped in our work, that has brought us closer together and makes each moment as special as the night we first set eyes on each other all those years ago. Love like life is a challenge, but if you believe in what you are doing, then it too will flourish and succeed.
When I got older and was in high school, there was a family friend who wanted me to perform an act on him, and when I refused, he knocked me down and slammed my head into the lip of the curb. Then you add pushy boyfriends who were after only one thing, and you can see why I'm somewhat shy and uncomfortable around men. That's why I got really scared when I met someone who was a far cry from the others. William would ask me how my day was, or the times I'd come over he'd cook dinner. It was strange at first, but he was so reserved about things that he couldn't touch me without asking permission. And William, as a person, has his quirks. He can be outspoken about various things, which can get troublesome at times. He has a passion for history if that isn't obvious from the writing. His family tree has famous figures including abolitionist John Brown and a signer of the Declaration of Independence, which is why he blames genetics for being outspoken. The two figures from the past he admires are Thomas Paine and Thomas Jefferson. His family wasn't the kind to follow sports, so when we first started dating, he thought baseball had 4 quarters. I'm mentioning these items because my family is the exact opposite. My sister is a feminist who prefers to be in control of everything and is somewhat of a drama queen, too. Whenever William would drive us around town, he normally had his window rolled down and the outside air blowing, which she hated. So the entire time she'd complain about having a hard time breathing. After different cases of the same result, William lost his temper to a degree, and when she started her ranting, he gave her a small scuba tank that snorkelers use and told her to breathe slow. Another time she was complaining about his choice in music and subsequently changed the radio station while he drove. Although we were close, this is my older sister I'm writing about, so I let her handle the issue her own way, which resulted with William pulling over on the roadside, giving her $1 to catch the city bus before driving off. So she became the first of the family members to tell me I should look for someone better. My mother shared the same sentiment as my sister, and although they argued over other items in regards to the house, etc., William was one matter where they had a mutual agreement. Before we got engaged the first time, he cooked a gourmet dinner for everyone to demonstrate he could take care of me, and then he asked my mom permission to ask my hand in marriage. She complained to me that he was treating me like a piece of property by asking her that question. Once again, from 2 of the closest family members, I was told I'd be much better with someone else. The odds were stacked high against him, obviously. William helped me through the problems and drama my family without leaving me. He also helped me with the most difficult challenge of them all, telling someone you love about the shattered innocence of the past. We've gone through this and many other obstacles. I've become his equal in fencing, pool, and darts. I'm a fan of horror movies now and have been lucky to meet some of the actors from certain films, too. At times, we still run away to different places just to feel the wind on our face and our hands entwined. These days, the only fight that has never been resolved is who loves the other more. William treats me so good and has great respect to me that I'm glad that we've been together for so long because he means the world to me. Years later, the happy couple are still together and have his and her swords. Not to mention equal fencing partners.
But wait! There's more!
I really hate our Bluetooth sometimes. It's really not as technologically advanced as they claim it to be.
Call, say, by number or by name.
My name?
Name, please.
Fred.
Calling, Greta. Say yes to proceed, otherwise say back or cancel.
Back?
Back. Name, please.
Callie.
Calling, Celia. Say yes to proceed, otherwise say back or cancel.
Back?
Sorry, please say a command.
Call.
Sorry, I can't understand the command. Please say again or say help.
Blow me.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you. Please try again, or press the speak button and say help.
Never a